time for our Thursday check-ins with our colleagues at Live. Well, Golden Village is currently running a small-scale Leslie Cheung Film Festival.
Now, he was an icon in the Hong Kong film industry and he died on April the 1st, 2003. So GV's film festival is in honor of his 18th death anniversary.
Well, if you're one of our younger viewers, you may not be familiar with the work of this late Hong Kong actor. Well, luckily, journalist Jan Lee is here to share more. Jan, you say the 4 Leslie Cheung movies that are being screened aren't his most notable. But out of them, which is a must-watch for those of us who have not seen his movies before?
So currently, GV is airing The Phantom Lover, The Bride with White Hair, Double Tap, and Who's the Woman, Who's the Man? So these are 4 films that were run over the weekend on April 3rd and 4th. And I think, you know, his most memorable works, people would often bring up things like Farewell My Concubine, or things like Happy Together, A Better Tomorrow, you know. So those are not in the list. But if I had to pick one, you know, I have a soft spot in my heart for The Bride with White Hair, which is a tragic wuxia romance. So it's with Bridget Lin. So younger viewers, if you don't know who Bridget Lin is, she's also a very, very iconic film star. And there's also Yemi Lam, who also sadly passed away a few years ago. So that's like definitely a really stellar cast. And I just love, like, you know, wuxia films. There's something very intrinsically Hong Kong, and it's very peak 90s when you look at the cast, you know. And it is a beautiful story, and the direction is beautiful as well.
Well, Jan, as Leslie Cheung's death anniversary is today, so you know it's only fitting that we remember him. What makes Leslie Cheung an icon in Hong Kong, you know, even to this day?
Well, for one, his almost 30-year career, you know, he really starred in many, many films, and also he was just a really, really magnetic on-screen presence. So I caught Happy Together, which is the film he shot with director Wong Kar-wai and opposite Tony Leung. I caught Happy Together in Capitol Theatre a few years ago, and it really left a very deep impression on me. And even starring against Tony Leung, who, you know, people would often say he's one of the best actors in Hong Kong cinema, one of the most alluring actors. You can't take your eyes off him. But even against Tony Leung, you know, Leslie Cheung is completely like, you also cannot take your eyes off him. That's how strong he was. And he's really versatile. He's in so many things. He really changes into a role. When you see him in, let's say, Happy Together, he really does seem like that character. And when you see him in another movie, you almost like forget that he was this other person in this other movie, because he's so good at what he does. And he's also just like, has this, like my friends say, just in general, a great screen presence, and he was a very, very good singer. So they are like great canto pop hits from the 90s that you should definitely check out if you've never heard from him. So yeah, I mean, he was really all around just an extremely like memorable talent. And it's really sad that we lost him to depression in 2003.
Lovely words there, Jen. Thanks so much for sharing that. That was journalist Jan Lee. Now, the 4 films are showing at the GV outlets at Funan and Tiong Bahru.
This weekend is your last chance to see it in the cinema, but Netflix has others as well, like A Better Tomorrow and Once a Thief.
Now, for an afternoon getaway from the everyday hustle, head to a new French bistro, Maison Marie, which you can find near the Upper Bukit Timah Truss Bridge along the reopened section of the rail corridor. Here's STFood online editor Hedy Khoo with a quick review. So Hedy, what were your first impressions of Maison Marie?
How far it is from where I live. It takes some effort getting there, because if you don't live around there, it's a little bit far out, you know. And if you go during the weekends, which I did because the food was so good, I went back again. If you go on the weekends, parking is a little bit challenging, but I think it's worth the effort getting there. And yeah, you know, as you mentioned, it's just right beside nature, the rail corridor, so it's a really nice, cozy place to go to.
Right. And what are the best dishes there, Hedy?
You've got to really try the grilled Mediterranean sea bream. It's a whole sea bream that is butterflied, and the interesting thing is, you know, we think of fish like, oh, we have to have it the freshest, you know, at its freshest, but at this restaurant, the chef cures the fish with salt for about 3 to 5 days. So the first time I had it, it was cured for 5 days. And then, he'll grill it in a charcoal-fired oven, and it's really, really tasty. It comes with a romesco sauce, which is made from tomatoes, bell peppers, but I don't think it's really necessary to use the sauce because it kind of masks the delicate flavor of the fish. It's really so good that you should try it, on its own without any sauces getting in the way, so that you get the pure enjoyment of the fish, of the cured fish. And another dish to try, well, everybody loves oysters. They serve out three types of oysters at the restaurant, but I really fell in love with the mid-price one. It's about $6.50 for each of the La Royale, and it's very creamy, very sweet. And if you go there, just as I did on the day that the oysters arrived the night before, so it's super fresh, super fresh tasting. I really, really liked it. Another dish to try is the roasted tiger prawns, and it comes with parsley and garlic oil. So this mixture is made in-house by the chef, and it sounds like a very cliched kind of dish, but I think they do a really good version over here, and it's not overly garlicky as, sometimes some restaurants make such a dish, overkill of garlic. Here, very well balanced flavors. You can taste the parsley, it's very fresh. The prawns are perfectly cooked, so it's not overcooked, not too hard, not too tough. So if you order this dish, you really, really have to get the charcoal baked bread that's made in-house. And yeah, excellent for mopping up the parsley and oil mixture, the olive oil mixture. And lastly, for dessert, you could have the pari breast that is also made in-house by the chef himself. It's made from choux pastry and has a hazelnut mousseline as the filling. It tastes like something someone's grandma would make. So very interesting, homey, unpretentious, hearty fare that you can get at this restaurant.
Thanks, Hedy. That was STFood online editor Hedy Khoo. Do drop by Maison Marie at the Rail Mall the next time you want some European and Mediterranean fare, or to just get away from Singapore's concrete jungle.
Speaking of, something you can also try this weekend is forest bathing.
Well, forest bathing is a decades-old Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, where people spend time immersing themselves in the atmosphere of the forest. Our colleague journalist Toh Wen Li tried it recently at Dairy Farm Nature Park. Wen Li, how is the idea or concept of forest bathing different from, say, a regular hike? What did you experience that maybe you wouldn't have in a regular walk through nature?
Yeah, so the thing about forest bathing is, contrary to what it sounds like, it doesn't involve a person showering in the forest. And it's all about, as you mentioned, immersing yourself in the atmosphere of nature and of the forest. So it's about being present in the moment, there's a sense of mindfulness to it. So it's not so much about the destination or about learning about specifically about the biodiversity of the place, as it is about just anchoring yourself in the present and being aware of the sensations around you. So in other words, paying attention to the sights, sounds, smells, textures, and tastes of the forest. So you can do this on your own, I think, but there are also some certified forest therapy guides in Singapore who kind of offer a more structured approach to it. So what they'll do is they'll take you on this experience in a park, for example, and offer what they call invitations. So they invite you to pay attention to certain stimuli in the environment, and after that you kind of get together and share your reflections with other participants. So it's just a very more structured way of being aware of your natural surroundings.
I see. Well, Wen Li, about this forest therapy guide, your trip was with one. So I'm just wondering, how did this come about as a job in Singapore, and what makes somebody qualified to be a forest therapy guide?
Yeah, so the two guides I spoke to, one of whom was Yeomin Yap, who runs Seo Nature Connections. The other one was Ding Kian Singh, who does forest bathing as well, but he sometimes combines these with a water element. So you might be on a kayak or a paddleboard and forest bathe at the same time. So the two of them are both certified with this US-based association called the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides and Programs. So they receive some training followed by a practicum lasting for a couple of months. So that's the training they receive from this association, international body.
Oh, sounds interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that, Wen Li. That was journalist Toh Wen Li.
Well, there are more suggestions featured in tomorrow's live section, and for more news and videos, you can, of course, visit straitstimes.com.